now tuned in to the cold, hard truth. Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips@CaymanMarlRoad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
Facebook and YouTube right now. Good morning, Sandy. How are you?
Morning.
Good morning, everybody. How are you?
We are good. It is Hump Day Wednesday.
Yes, it is.
This week's gone by fast.
The week goes by.
Yeah,
I know.
Almost done with September.
Yeah.
That's wild.
I know. Christmas. You got to start ordering your Christmas supplies and gifts and everything early.
Oh my gosh.
There's already predicted shortages.
Yeah.
I know. What do you got for us this morning?
Well, on our show, we're going to be speaking with it's Pact Wednesday. So this is a new segment that we're launching this morning where the Pact government gets to join us and different members each week and tell us what they've got going on. So up first is Kathy Ann Wilks from West Bay Central, and she's been kind of busy actually. So I was happy to catch up with her on Friday and learn a bit more about what she has been up to. So we're going to talk about that. Of course, yesterday in the news, there was another positive case at a primary school, Prospect Primary this time.
And so what's the deal? Do you know how did this child contract? Do we know anything?
Well, what we do know is that the child presented with symptoms and was taken to the flu clinic, and they tested the child, and she tested positive.
Wow.
So
Where's the
that's
flu
how
clinic?
they.
HSA, isn't it?
It's
Is
where's
that
the flu
HSA?
clinic?
There's
Like,
an actual flu clinic that was
oh, not the emergency room.
No, it was
Okay,
reactivated.
I was wondering because I was at on Tuesday night at the emergency room with my youngest child. So I was like, there was a bunch of sick kids. I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope one of them wasn't that big.
Yeah, well, you know what? Kids have been kind of in isolation for so long that they have been getting sicker this year compared to the previous year, which was like nil. So yeah, they've been getting
It's
sick with all
communities.
sorts of stuff.
I mean,
Yeah, they just
Miles
gotta
was
work
sick
up their
for
immunity.
like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Took him forever to kick that
So
cough and cold or whatever he had.
I wasn't there because
COVID.
of my kid was sick. Yeah, no, I wasn't there because my kid was sick. I was there for an accident he had. But not anything like that. But yeah, it did make my heart hurt to see a couple the young kids just really sick. That's all sad.
So the school is closed today, right? Prospect Primary School.
Yes, they didn't really. I don't know if they posted something on their social media, but parents did say that they were doing ongoing testing so that they would be closed. But I didn't really see any press releases coming out about that.
Yeah, one came out yesterday late
So
and said that they're going to do a deep clean.
Oh yes. My apologies.
Yeah.
They did say that they were going to do the usual stuff.
And then so they're going to be closed today, and then they'll advise when the school reopens. They also will contact other parents as required or indicated based on findings of contact tracing activities.
Yeah. So so they're going to contact trace direct connections to that child, their primary contacts, and they will have to quarantine. They did testing yesterday of that particular classroom, so they would not allow those children to leave. And that's how we kind of got a hold of the story earlier than their press release, is because obviously parents were like, hey, Sandy, guess what?
Yeah.
So,
But aren't kids wearing masks in school? So this year would be wearing masks.
Year 6. Yes.
Yeah, because it's 5. It's like 5 and up, isn't it?
But I think it's starting.
Yeah, they're wearing masks like in common areas, like when they're walking up and down and stuff. But I think if they're sitting and they're able to social distance a certain amount, they are not mandated to wear mask all day.
Well, all the studies are showing, and it obviously sucks for kids, but the studies that are coming out of the U.S. it is suppressing it in the classroom by wearing masks and social distancing. I know it's not what we want to hear for our kids to be going to school like that.
Yeah.
So, well, I think this will be a good for us kind of to see if it did kind of,
I got a question for you.
Way.
So my wife and I were talking about this. So that, when you have small children, like all three of us do, you go to a birthday party, like, every other weekend, if not more. So what is the etiquette now for you as a parent? Are you allowed to ask if if you're going to somebody's house, if those parents are vaccinated, or you know what I mean? Like, what are the protocols for having birthday parties nowadays?
I say yes. I mean, I think that you have to decide. Somebody's dancing at your door, I saw him with his mask on. I say yes. I think it's incumbent and responsible as a parent of you. I don't know if etiquette is the right word, but you have a right to ask, I suppose, just like they have a right to, they say, not get vaccinated. And I think it is important to get an idea of what you're exposing your children to. So absolutely, I would say ask away. And if hopefully they're going to be honest with you. And I suppose if they refuse to give you that information, that's probably an indication that your child shouldn't go to that party. Last night, guys, we had a fantastic show. If anyone missed it, I would encourage you to go back and listen to the show either on YouTube or Facebook. We had 5 wonderful women, from their frontline workers, from nurses to a nutritionist to someone who's, I think EMT is the correct word, but she will come and pick you up. And they were talking about, all of their experiences within their respective specialties. And I was educated. It was emotional at times to hear them saying, one nurse, Asia, who's fantastic, actually said that, she's promised all of these families that when their loved ones are dying, they're not going to die alone, because of course the families aren't allowed in there, but she will hold their hand and let them die with some degree of company. But these women are fantastic. This was the lineup, 4 women: Danielle, Jen Bodden Evans, which is Caymanian, and Asia and Coat. And they were just really, really fantastic with presenting, a realistic view of what frontline workers are having to go through right now. And so I encourage everyone to go watch it, because listen, in the final analysis, they were like, listen, people really need to get vaccinated. We cannot stress that enough. The vast majority of people that they're having to pick up, like Jen said, when she comes, you're in a bad situation when she has to pick you up, because you can't drive yourself to the hospital. Nobody can take you. The nurse was saying when they have to put that tube in you, it's not good. And your family is saying their goodbyes through Zoom or through a screen or whatever. And she said, you've got something available to you folks that works, that's proven to work. She really encouraged people to get correct information and stop following all this misinformation and making life and death decisions based on misinformation. It was a powerful, powerful show. And we, every single Tuesday and Thursday, we're doing these shows for the next month or so. It's CMR's COVID Spotlight series, and we're going to have epidemiologists on. We're having virologists. I mean, people have been saying, oh, we want the experts. They might not trust the local physicians. And now you have an opportunity to have professors from Yale, from all sorts of universities around the world. Take advantage of it. Trust me.
That's cool. Good job.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, check that out. That sounds like interesting stuff. And you can catch CMR live now on YouTube and Facebook. And Sandy, we'll see you tomorrow.
Great, guys. Have a good one.
You
You
too.
too.
Aaron, what do you got?
And soon, folks, we're going to be going live on Twitter as well. We don't have a whole lot of Twitter followers, but you know what? Even if we reach 1 or 2 people, hey, I'm all for it. I need to figure out a couple things with Twitter though. It's a very different platform. I'll just say that. But some people love Twitter. Some people really enjoy tweeting and that sort of thing. But we put up all of our stories on Twitter. So every single thing that we post story-wise from the website also goes on the Twitter and LinkedIn feeds as well. So not a huge following in either, but you know what? Some people, like I said, prefer that platform. So good morning to all of you beautiful people. Who do we have checking in? We've got Evelyn, Alice, Miss Wanda's here. Elizabeth, my hair is looking a little bit crazy today. I think I need to go to the salon and get Rocio to kind of help me out with it today. Elizabeth, Virtuous V, Dawn is here. Dawn says, beautiful morning. I'm here for my tea. Please fill up my mug. I didn't go pick it up yet. Oh, you haven't? Child, you better hurry up. Marshall got his mug. Thanks to Louis. Jennifer, Daisy, Miss Ethel is here. Good morning. Charlene, Wee, Catherine, Felicia, Omeria says, good morning. Thank Father God for another beautiful day. Good morning, Miss Lisa. Kimmy is here. And of course, Miss Darlene from the UK has got it locked in. And we've got Charlotte, who is all the way in Scotland. Good morning, Miss Sue. The beautiful Ingrid is also here. Morning to everybody. How are you guys doing? I am fantastic. Can I tell you? I never get enough sleep, so I don't even complain about that anymore. Burning the midnight oil every single night. I'm like, I'm going to go to bed by 11 o'clock tonight. I was up until 1 o'clock again. And, it is what it is. I find in the wee hours when everybody else is sleeping and everybody else has gone to bed, you can really get a lot of stuff done. So, folks, go and check out the show from last night. Like I said, it was a wonderful show. pinned it at the top of the Facebook page so that when you go to the Facebook page for CMR, you'll see it there. Good morning, beautiful Perla. How are you? Catherine says, my sister-in-law in England wants a mug, please and thanks. Ooh, anybody going to the UK anytime soon? WhatsApp me, Catherine. Let's see how we can work that out. You know, Louis was instrumental in getting the mug to he was instrumental in getting the mug to Marshall in North Carolina because he had a spare mug. So that's how we do it. The teamwork makes the dream work. Okay. I don't know who these crazy people are. Yes. So lots of craziness going on behind the background, folks. You guys would be surprised at some of what's circulating in this community right now. Sometimes I think to myself, don't give it any attention, because then you somehow validate it if you do that. And I think validation of nonsense can be a really dangerous thing. Not just nonsense, but actually validation of misinformation. Sometimes, even if you're trying to dispel the misinformation, you end up validating it in some way by talking about it. But I always think talk about it, because if you don't, it's kind of a double-edged sword. If you don't talk about the misinformation, then they say, aha, that validates, what we're saying. So someone just said, babe, the AC is off. I don't think that was meant for me. My AC isn't off at the moment, but I think they meant to send that to somebody else. Sometimes I get odd messages from people. The AC is off. How would you know if the AC is off in my house? Clearly that message was not for me. So yes, there's so much misinformation in the local community, and these individuals are doing their best to try to get organized and give themselves some degree of credibility. Well, I hope that you listen to the real experts, folks. I hope you listen to the frontline workers from last night who said, listen, they're struggling with oxygen and all this other, equipment, respirators and so on. So they know that small nation countries like Cayman will struggle at a different level, because of limited resources. And not only, even if we had all the money in the world, sometimes it's about limited access to try to get that equipment when there's a worldwide shortage. And so we need to realistically, think about the implications of that for us. Remaining closed forever isn't an option. A zero COVID policy isn't an option. Yesterday, we had another positive in Prospect Primary. Not entirely surprising. I'm sure we'll probably be hearing one about Bordentown Primary soon as well, because a lot of these kids are interconnected, right? Someone at Prospect Primary has contacts at Bordentown Primary, at Georgetown Primary. It's not as though I'm just reading something, and it's not as though people live in isolation within the island. Nobody's living in a complete bubble in that sense of the word. And so yes, we will have people who are going to be positive, and we just have to deal with those as they come up. And if the children are not particularly sick, they isolate, they stay home. Those are the things that are shown to kind of keep it from spreading even further at the community level. So Aaron was saying this morning that mask up, masking works. The things that we know work. I'm surprised that anybody is kicking back against those things. People are kicking back against vaccines, but yet vaccines work. These individuals say that they are pro-choice, and I'm a little bit confused about what pro-choice means. And I think I'm confused because they're confused, right? So some of them are pro-choice in the sense that they want to choose not to get a vaccine. And then others are pro-choice, saying that they want to decide which vaccine to get. So there's different types of pro-choice, apparently. The difficulty with it is two things. Number one, you've never had a choice with vaccines ever in your entire life. And I think it's so ironic that now you think that you should be able to get a choice when we're in the middle of a very serious pandemic that every country in the world practically is having to deal with and trying to get under control. Number two, vaccine choice, you can get a choice. And in fact, we have had AstraZeneca on this island before. My sources tell me that another batch is coming. So if that's the choice that you're arguing about, that's not an issue. Go and get vaccinated with AstraZeneca. Now, there's side effects with AstraZeneca that you may not have with the Pfizer vaccine, and perhaps vice versa, but you need to do that research for yourself. So don't go get AstraZeneca and then complain if you have one of the known side effects, which does include an increased risk of blood clots with the AstraZeneca one. That's not the case with the mRNA technology. So it's incredibly amazing for me that the argument for AstraZeneca or having that choice is there. Now, you don't get to have a choice. And this is where I think people are really starting to get under my skin, because they don't want to say on the one hand that I'm an anti-vaxxer, right? Which is really what they are, but they don't want to say that because that makes them sound bad. Morning, James, all the way from Scotland. So what they want to say is, oh, no, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, I'm pro-choice. When in fact, they're really an anti-vaxxer, because if you listen to what they've said, the details of what they said, they've undermined and questioned the vaccines the entire time. So what, in their minds, right, pro-choice means, let me choose an option that I know isn't available to me, not because the government is trying to force Pfizer on me or not give me a choice, but because nowhere in the world practically has the Chinese Sinopharm and all these other ones gotten any kind of approval outside of China and the Middle East. So you see how incredibly interesting that is, right? You're going to choose the one thing you know that you can't get because it hasn't been approved by Public Health England. Not that it hasn't been approved. Sinopharm and whatever the other Chinese one is, there's 2 Chinese vaccines, they have not sought approval. So they themselves as a company have not bothered to seek approval from these drug regulatory bodies, including the FDA and including public health. And then that's the choice you want. Well, you know why you want that choice? You want that choice because you know you're not going to be able to get it. That's the first thing, because it hasn't been approved by anyone. And then you can remain vaccinated because you really are an anti-vaxxer. And some of you want that choice because you've got some whole bunk connection in China that has promised you they can get you this vaccine on the cheap so that you can bring it in as a physician and sell it to people and try to make a quick buck. Y'all want the cold hard truth? Y'all need to look at the motive for some of these people who are pushing this message. Some are just attention whores. They're all about, ooh, look at me. I'm an anti-vaxxer. I'm going to be leading up a protest. Join me, make me important. Well, y'all need to figure this out. Side effects? Well, Sinopharm has side effects too. Did y'all know that? Any of y'all researching the side effects of that one? Someone said to me that Sino means China. So they've named their own vaccine just China and put farm on it. But, like I said, we're going to be bringing experts on the show that will be telling us all about the different types of vaccines and what's available, how effective they are, because of course that should be a major consideration in whether or not you decide to get any vaccine is the level of effectiveness. We know that vaccines work, and when I say vaccines, the ones that we're talking about are the top 4 or 5. We know that they work, and they have been really, really tested in terms of that, especially when it comes to serious illness and death. And there was a story in the Wall Street Journal, my apologies, that the Sinopharm COVID vaccine is seen as less effective according to a Bahrain study. So in the Middle East, in the countries where they are indeed using it, it 3 times the death rate. Listen to this. Y'all want a choice? I'm going to give y'all the real facts about this choice that you want and this choice that is being peddled to you. Okay. Chinese made shot showed 3 times the death rate. Y'all need to make this news now because this is facts. 3 times the death rate from breakthrough infections than Pfizer BioNTech vaccine, researchers have found. So you're so concerned about having a choice that you are willing to take a chance of getting vaccinated with Sinopharm, and yet you're going to have 3 times the death rate from breakthrough infections than Pfizer. What's wrong with you all? Help me understand it, please. I really want to understand why you would be choosing that as an option. The whole point of getting a vaccine is to try to keep you alive. That's the whole point of getting vaccinated, to keep you out of the hospital and to keep you alive. These are the facts, right? It's less effective than others at preventing infection, hospitalization, and death. Wow, isn't that interesting? So the Kingdom of Bahrain and Columbia University have done the research on this. This is what these Chinese vaccine is what they're using in China and Beijing. Okay. They say that one of the reasons that they have to use it is because they're unable to secure sufficient doses of US and European made shots. Okay. So they've created this and they're using it because they don't have an option for anything better. We have an option for better. And you all who don't know, who haven't done your research, are being talked into and fooled into, believing that this is a viable option for you. Wow. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy. We'll get into a little bit more because we do have, thanks to Kevin, we do have, experts who will be joining us talking specifically about vaccines. And I think you need to listen to the experts. Don't listen to me. I mean, I'm getting information from reliable sources, mind you, but a lot of people will believe what I say because they know I'm a researcher. I'm an information whore. I love to get information, but I want to make sure that my information is accurate and correct. I don't want to be putting misinformation out in the public. So I do my best to triple check and to look at these, to look at the research, the studies, and so on, because I think that that is really, really important. But let me assure you, folks, it's no joke. You've got to be prepared to get correct information. Stop believing people who, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to pick on the Katinas of the world, but what makes Katina someone that you should sit back and believe about anything in life? I'm just asking the question. What makes her? Because she's a born again Christian, Therefore, she has been anointed by God to speak all things truthful. You know, it's like the Jim Jones situation. Somebody said this to me yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw that meme about how, you know, some of you are drinking the Jim Jones Kool-Aid. And for those of you who are too young to know who Jim Jones was, this was a man who professed to be a man of God. And he was, you know, just because somebody professes to be a man of God doesn't mean that they are, first of all, man or woman, whatever. And he had people literally drinking Kool-Aid out of his hand in their final hours, which cost them their lives. He made people commit suicide, mass suicide, and he made them kill their own children. And in the final hours, those who refused to do so were shot and killed. November 18th, 1978, an American mass murder is how he's being described, a cult leader, political activist, preacher, and faith healer. Those are all words that describe this man. So when someone jumps up and calls themselves, you know, a preacher, a faith healer, a person of God, oh, they're an activist, they're this, they're that, be careful. Be careful who you're choosing to follow. Especially when you look at their own track record and you have to question yourselves. But you see, they don't want you to look at their track record of non-accomplishments in any realm. They don't want you to look at that, because to them, it is, oh, no. Now I have been saved. I'm washed in the blood of Jesus. So with that comes amnesia. So forget everything that I've ever done. Forget the fact that I have stood up publicly and defended my own child who has taken the lives of other people in this community. And to this day, profess his innocence as a mother. That's the same people who are telling you this nonsense. They want you to forget all that. They want you to forget that narrative, because when you start to look at that narrative, oh, wow, well, that doesn't set well with me. It shouldn't set well with you, because these are the types of personalities, folks, that you are dealing with. People who are delusional and who are not willing to accept their own shortcomings as human beings, as mothers. They're not willing to say, I failed my own child. I only had the one, but I miserably failed them. And although I failed them, I wasn't willing to accept that. I'm going to plead their innocence. I'm going to say the law got it wrong. All the judges, all the appeal courts, everybody got it wrong. And my child is still innocent. Delusion. Okay? You have people jumping up on their radio or whatever, podcast platforms, right? On social media, preaching to you about vaccines and what you must believe. And those persons miserably failed in business, owe tons of money all over the place. They've had access to more money than you and I will probably ever see, but never managed to make it work out because too busy buying all the flashy cars and living a lifestyle way above their means, right? Worst husband of the century, constantly cheating on the wife, having all these outside children, really only uses the wife when they have nowhere else to go and to stay. Not the world's best father. Pissed off at the government because he can't get put on boards. Pissed off at DART because DART doesn't want to give them a paycheck anymore. But you see, they don't want to talk about all of the opportunities that they've had. When they were running after Hurricane Ivan, the cleanup business, and they had trucks, heavy equipment, and all this sort of stuff, they don't want to tell you why that went south and the amount of money they were actually getting from DART as part of the cleanup effort. They were supposed to be in charge of the truckers. Well, you know how well that worked? Remember how their vehicles were set on fire? Trucks and other vehicles were set on fire? Go ask the truckers why they had to do that. Because these political activists, these social activists, we're all for the people, were so much for the people, so much for the truckers that they were taking advantage of them. Y'all not ready for the cold, hard truth, I'm telling you. And that is why you sit down and listen to nonsense. You listen to physicians when you look at their track record. I'm like, I You're well liked. Okay. Yes, you're well liked, but we all know that something's a little bit off. Oh, do we really need to remind you of the pregnant woman who was assaulted? Do we really need to go down that route? Because some of y'all don't know. You're Johnny come latelys and you have no clue. I'm not sitting here saying that I'm perfect. I'm sitting here saying that in this moment, every single day I get on the show and I try to tell you all the truth. And there are people who are providing you with misinformation and who are lying to your face. And they all have their own ulterior motives to why they're pushing that agenda and why they're doing that. Wake up. Don't be sheep. Just because you are on the fringes of believing everything out there, don't be sheep. Nurse Asia said last night she has dealt with, she couldn't even remember how many patients, countless patients, I'm sure into the thousands, where she's at. And you know what? When y'all talk about, all these people in Cayman have all these side effects, somebody claiming they have a blue hand from the COVID vaccine. She's like, listen, I've seen thousands of people. And I'm telling you right now in this moment that the people that I have treated, nobody with any side effects of the vaccine. I am treating people who are refusing to get vaccinated. Isn't that something? And I'm thinking to myself, hold on a second now. How can that be possible? How can she be treating all these people who have, a plethora of, they're on death's door, they die, they come in super ill, all this stuff. And that is not, that has nothing to do with them getting vaccinated. It's not the vaccinated people that she's seeing with all these side effects. And then we have such a small population in Cayman, and our super small population, 71% have been vaccinated. They want to claim that they have had the most unusual and rare occurrences of vaccine side effects. Well, the chances of it happening are so astronomical that you have to question yourself, is there something wrong with the Cayman population? Are you all genetically less superior or inferior? Are you genetically inferior to everybody else in the world? Because very few other people are having these side effects, but yet for our population, we want to claim that you got big balls, you got blue hands, you're Nicki Minaj's third cousin removed 5 times with swollen nuts. And you've got myocarditis, and you've got this, and you've got that, and you've had all these adverse effects that other populations in the world, where there are thousands of people that these frontline workers are seeing, and they don't ever see any of them. They're like, those are not the people who's showing up in the ER. They're not the people who's showing up in the intensive care unit. God gave you, you believe in God. Yes, some of you may not. But those of you who do, God gave you common sense for a reason. I implore you. And this, to me, this belief in misinformation isn't even about common sense to a certain extent. It really is, and that's why I shared that article the other day. It really is about the ability to think critically, to pick things apart and analyze what people are saying to you. And a lot of these people are feeding you poor nonsense. Wee says that she loved the show last night. Thank you so much, Diamond Princess. Good morning, Paula. I'm doing fantastic. We're waiting for Kathy to join us here in a second. Yadeli, buenos dias. She says, do you know, now she be testing my Spanish, child. Do you know about the 4 Cubans that went missing the other day? Oh, we haven't heard anything more about them, child. I guess they haven't found them because there's been absolutely no updates. Miss Julie, Miss Darlene says, maybe I can ask my daughter to bring my mug for me. Oh, yes, absolutely. But tell her to get it from now, Miss Darlene. And then what we can do is we can make sure that Catherine's sister gets one too. We'll send you a couple to the UK, and it's just easier to ship them out from that location. So Charlene says we're definitely ready for Impact Wednesdays. And let me just say this, a lot of the people who are going on and on about the government, Funny enough, when you look at those individuals, and I've seen some of them posting stuff, right? And, there are people who are anti-Pact government. They were anti-independence. They had their own candidates that they were supporting, which unfortunately they were unsuccessful in the election, and they still haven't gotten over it. So they're trying everything they can do to undermine this government. Don't open the borders. Okay. But we're not going to get vaccinated. So you'll never be able to open borders. And then when the country goes broke, we're going to complain about that. It's just like, my mind is just like, it's an explosion some days, because I'm just like, what are you saying? You're not even making any sense. Struggling with oxygen. The world is struggling with oxygen, girl. So Sabrina, like I said, I'm not even trying to give these people credibility, but let's just say that they're so confused about what they're protesting about that they actually had to send out a voice note saying, oh, let's make sure we know what the protest is about. Don't go out there. This is what the voice note said, right? Don't go out there saying that you're an anti-vaxxer, or don't talk about ivermectin or this and that, because they know within that group of protesters, that's the foolishness that these people believe. So they have to instruct the protesters, that this is what our message should be. This is what we're all about. They're not even of one mind. It just is absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, when they say pro-choice, half of them is talking about pro-choice, like, oh, I want a vaccine choice. And the other half is saying, oh, I don't want a vaccine at all. And then the rest is like, oh, ivermectin works. Take horse treatments. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Good morning, Denny. He says early treatment is the way forward. Well, how about prevention is the way forward? Do things like mask up. Tracy says mask it or casket. Perla says the teachers at Prospect Primary are in shock, but waiting for test results. Why are they in shock? Why are we still in shock when we have community transmission? Folks, when we say that COVID is here to stay, you need to understand what that means. You shouldn't be shocked that you're having these cases. The teachers, the public health workers, y'all need to man up and understand what living with COVID means. It's not going anywhere. Thank you so much. Charlene says episode 3 was very informative last night. Sandra, every episode keeps getting better and better. Thank you so much, Miss Charlene. Good morning to the ever handsome Peter Campbell. Nona says they are Jim Jones reincarnated. Well, I just talked about Jim Jones. And like I said, if you don't know the Jim Jones story, you need to go and see how easily people become sheep, right? And how easy they're able to follow, especially in the name of religion. I can't tell you the number of religious cults all over the world that have gone wrong. Because when you start talking religion, people get crazy. I'm sorry to say, but there is an element of craziness that goes with religious beliefs, really and truly. And people take it to another level that I'm pretty sure, God never intended. Anyway, we've got Kathy, the beautiful Kathy Wilks, waiting for us. Now, I was able to spend, in preparation for the show, I was able to spend quite a bit of time with Kathy on Friday. And we got a number of, listen, it was fantastic. I got to see a lot of what Kathy has been up to. So this is Impact Wednesday. So let me just preface this by saying that Impact Wednesday is all about sharing with you all exactly what the government has been up to. What have they been doing? Because a lot of people are curious and want to know. And so we're giving individual MPs an opportunity to come on the program and to share that with us. All right. So we'll get back. Thank you, Nona. We'll get back to some of those conversations a little bit later on. Miss Kathy is very, very busy. So we're going to give her time and focus on what she has going on. So listen, the first project that I want to talk about, and then we're going to bring Kathy in, is that she has launched her second day in office. Now, you know, this poor child hit the ground running. She has launched a bus concierge service. And this is fantastic, folks. This really is something that is needed in communities and that is absolutely useful to people who need to get to their appointments. So let's watch Kathy's first video about the concierge service. Then we'll bring Kathy on. We'll talk to her a little bit. And then we're going to show the video about the opening of her office and how you can get to her office as well. All right, we're here today in the beautiful district of West Bay with representative for West Bay Central, Miss Kathy Wilks, and her assistant here who drives the West Bay Central concierge vehicle. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. Tell us a little bit about the shuttle service and when it got started. Kathy, I understand that it actually launched the day after you got elected. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
Wow, so you were ready to hit the ground running.
Yeah, well, what they say, ready or not, right?
Yes.
How it actually started, it was a vision that I had. I actually campaigned about, focusing on the elderly and the vulnerable. And immediately after the election, I started to receive phone calls. Actually, they were calling my husband.
Yes.
And there was a lady who needed to get to the doctor's office. So I phoned up. I had my husband, actually, because I was busy trying to form the government. So my husband phoned Jolie up. Jolie hit the ground running because we'd already made arrangements that Jolie was going to drive the shuttle for me.
Yeah.
So we started out with my personal vehicle.
Okay.
And, in a matter of probably about a month and a half, the demand was so high that we had to then go out and purchase our van. So we got this really nice van.
Beautiful.
And the person that I bought it from, they've been very generous, and they're actually allowing me to pay it on a monthly basis.
Yes, very
so
nice.
It's basically servicing all of West Bay Central and other parts of West Bay. And Speaker Bush has actually partnered with me now, and it's also servicing his constituency. And my other two colleagues from West Bay, they are Minister Ebanks and Minister Bush. They're getting ready to launch. They're going to have a shuttle that's going to be servicing their constituencies as well.
Right. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, you help anybody out really that you
Yeah,
can.
we're covering.
Yes.
So the doctor, whatever.
Yeah, to go to their doctor's appointments.
Take them there, and we wait around for them. I carry them, some of them that I need to go in with. I go in with them and be right there until they're all through with their service, and
Yes.
then them back home, and open the door for them,
Yes.
help them in, and also make sure that everything is dealt with them for the day.
Yes.
And Kathy, when we first got started, this was, like she said, it was a dream that she had.
Yes.
And, that was something that she looked forward of doing.
Okay.
And a lot of people, as we know, is very proud of what she's doing, and Mr. Bush to join up with her.
Yes.
And I think that serves a lot of people in our island in the best way possible,
Yes, sure.
Because a lot of people get stuck at home and wonders how they're going to be able to get to the doctor, and now they know that this or shuttle is going on. So
Yes, beautiful.
it's a privilege
And
for
how
them.
many people would you say at the moment, like on a weekly basis, are you helping to get to appointments?
I would say like maybe 5, 6 people.
Each
At a
day?
time, yeah.
Yeah.
Each time you go.
Yeah.
And the shuttle is running how many times for the week?
Just twice per week right
Twice
now,
per
right?
week, right?
You can tell
right
her
now.
when, Jolie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On Tuesdays and on Fridays.
Right.
Is our shuttle. And
Is a shuttle.
sometime we pick up from 7 o'clock in the morning.
Straight through.
And until the end of the day when all the
Okay.
appointments are finished, and we return them back home.
Right. Beautiful.
What really blew my mind, Sandra, was that there was somebody in the constituency who needed to attend Health City for actual chemotherapy treatment.
Oh, wow.
And they were missing their treatment because they didn't have a way to
my
get
God.
to the hospital. So since this has started, that we really don't normally have to service up to the Health City very frequently.
Right.
But whenever necessary, we do that as well. Make sure that everybody gets the medical need, access to medical care that they need.
Yes, absolutely. Well, this is a wonderful service.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we'll follow the journey. This is the first step, is the actual pickup at the person's home. And then this lady is going to be taken to the hospital in Georgetown.
Yeah.
I think you have to go to Smith Road.
And then what we're doing, because of social distancing, right now, we've already picked up a few other persons. So Jolie has picked up someone else and dropped them off at the clinic.
Right.
And then another lady, she's dropped off to another appointment. I'm not sure where her appointment was, but she's dropped off a few people already for the morning.
Yes. So she's trying to reduce the load.
Yeah, we're reducing the
of
loads
people.
right now, for social distancing requirements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful.
All right. Thank you.
All right, folks. Let's bring in Kathy. Good morning, Kathy. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for joining the program with us first. First member of the Pact government as part of our Impact Wednesday segment. So good to see you, Kathy. It's been a minute that we haven't seen you on the program.
It's been a minute. Before we get started, Sandra, I want to say thank you for having me. But I also want to take a minute to do a special birthday shout out to the lady that you just saw in the video, Jolie, our concierge driver. Today is her birthday, so I just want to say happy birthday, Jolie, and hopefully I will get to catch you later for that fish tea that we talked about.
Okay, nice. Well, happy birthday. Sorry. Happy birthday to Miss Jolie. We hope that you have a fantastic birthday today. Now, today is Wednesday. Remind me, what days does the shuttle go out again?
Tuesday and Friday.
Friday. So she's not shuttling today, at least.
No, she's not.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully she can kick up her feet for just a little bit and enjoy some birthday cake. So happy birthday, Miss Jolie. So Kathy, you've been extremely busy. Let's get caught up. People, of course, are already sending you some well wishes. Al Ebanks says great service. Eden Hurlson says trailblazer for the people. Good morning to MP Catherine Wilks. Ebanks Wilks from West Bay Central. Wee says great job for what you're doing for the people. Buenos dias to Miss Alba. Katrina says she's so proud of you. And Miss Sue says, well done, Kathy. Great service that you're doing. So let us talk a little bit, Kathy, about what you have been up to, because it's been a number of months now. And I think, people are curious. Life as an MP isn't quite what people think it is. I'm sure of that.
Yeah.
What have you been up to, my dear?
Well, to be honest, Sandra, and to all the viewers, I think the first few months it's just been, as a brand new MP, just trying to find my rhythm, trying to establish a constituency office, and then, find my way where I'm placed within the government, being that I, with 2 ministries and then also as deputy speaker. So I'm sort of, bouncing around the place and then trying to, cover the constituency as well. I was thinking about it this morning while I was dropping my daughter to school, on really why I hadn't done an official opening. And I know there were some people that kept asking, like, when are you going to open your office? And truth be told, I guess I am probably most hardest on myself. And I wanted the office to be perfect. So, I kept saying, I need to do this, and it's not quite ready yet. I need to do that. And I was really just waiting for the moment when it was perfect to do an official opening. But we did a soft opening on the 1st of June. And it's been servicing many people in the constituency. So now at this point, it's like, I just need to get the word out to those persons who don't really know about the office, that it's open, and, that it's servicing the constituency and really what our services right now entail. So I guess I could elaborate a little bit on that if you'd like, Sandra.
Yes, absolutely.
So right now, what we've been focusing on really is the elderly and the most vulnerable. So I've been making sure that that our elderly in the community, have health care coverage. So those persons who don't have health insurance, most of the elderly at this point, they're retired. Some of them don't really have any source of income. So just trying to connect them with the resources that are available to them, helping them with their putting in the applications to get that assistance from the needs assessment unit. So the constituency, office, or I should say myself, I've started to develop a relationship, with the ladies at the needs assessment unit. So now we're starting to fine tune the process. Now we understand more on, how we can expedite applications in terms of making sure that persons have all the required documents, which is oftentimes the reasons why these applications are not processed quickly. So we've been doing that. And then, I guess with more of the able-bodied persons in the constituency who've been displaced from tourism, the tourism sector, just trying to connect them with work, whether that's helping them get registered, helping them, enhance their resumes, and that's really, in terms of the social aspect, what we have been doing thus far. In addition to that, I have partnered with the food bank, and so now that service is available to West Bay rather than persons having to go all the way up to First Assembly Church. We have the application forms at the constituency office. I think we have like about 40 applicants already now in the program. But if there's anybody on the show that's watching, doesn't matter if you're in West Bay Central or not. If you're in West Bay, feel free to reach out to sign up for the food bank if you're in need. So that's sort of the services that I've been offering from a constituency level at this point. But there are many things that I have planned for the constituency office that focuses on the elderly and our school-age children that often in that particular area require support, and so we're going to be rolling out a tutoring program in the next couple of months. I'm hoping to have that rolled out before the end of the first term for the school year.
Now, Kathy, first of all, let me congratulate you on even having an office, because we saw that your predecessor in West Bay Central didn't actually have an office for at least the past, I want to say, couple years, at least his last term for sure.
Sandy, I want to correct you though, right? I think
yes.
and I don't want to do that. I don't want to, let's just move forward and talk about what I'm doing. But he did, I think he partnered with him and Speaker Bush. I think they shared an office space. It was not in the constituency. So I think a lot of people had difficulty, even though it was in West Bay, a lot of people had difficulty accessing it, which is one of the reasons why I'm happy with the location that my office is situated. It's right smack in the middle of West Bay Central. Now, I know some people were curious as to why I selected that area. It kind of found me. But, conveniently, it is an area where it's in the middle of, I guess I'd have to say, both demographics of the constituency. Persons from the Mount Pleasant area can access me on one end, and then persons from the Birch Tree Hill area can access me. So it works out with the vision that I have for the constituency office. But yeah, I want to focus on what I am offering and what I have to give to the people this morning, just because I know we have limited time.
Yes. Well, just saying that I'm really glad that you actually have an office, but let's have a look at Kathy's office, because we were able to do a tour of the facility as well. What a beautiful day it has been, clear skies. We are here at the office of none other than MP Catherine Ebanks Wilks, West Bay Central. And we're going to take a quick little tour of her constituency office. So come on, folks.
Hello, Sandra.
Hi, Kathy. How are you?
I'm good, and you?
Doing beautiful.
Come on in.
Thank you
Welcome
very
to our
much.
constituency office here in West Bay Central.
It looks very nice.
Thank you.
How are you?
I am good. I am good. How about you?
Yeah, no complaints at all.
That's
so you're going to
good.
show us around a little bit?
Yes, show you around a little bit. So
First of all, congratulations
thank you.
on having a constituency office. I know there are a lot of challenges sometimes in trying to find a location, but you've done it, so I think that's wonderful.
Thank you. We did have some challenges initially because we had a location that had already been sort of selected prior to the election. But of course I didn't want to secure it until, I didn't want to count my chickens before they hatched.
Yes.
And so we lost that space because by the time the election took place, someone else had already taken the property.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But then it worked out because this property here is much more versatile, and it actually is right smack in the center of West Bay Central. And one of the visions that I have to kind of have a bridge for, the young people, I'm able to do that with this space.
Yeah,
So
beautiful.
I'll just show you around really quickly.
Sure.
This is one of our offices. So it has 4 rooms. Right now we're only utilizing 2. This is the first office.
Yes. Okay, very nice.
So
Yeah.
So this is Rachel. She's here working in the constituency office.
Yes.
Taking calls.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then my office is in here, but we still are fitting out. And I don't know if you want to do a little. No, it's fine. And then this area here is what I'm really excited about because it's able to facilitate community meetings, advisory meetings. In addition to that, after school support, the kids are gonna sit in here and get help with their homework. And then, some of the technical vocational institutions or instructors can also come out, and I'm looking to eventually roll out a training program right here out of the constituency office. And then over in the back here, there's a kitchen, which some people may say, why do you need a kitchen in a constituency office? But it's worked out perfectly for us because we've already partnered with the food bank. And so every week we utilize the kitchen to sort the goods and get the bags ready for our most vulnerable in the community. In addition to that, another thing that we're going to be rolling out in a couple of weeks is we're going to be doing, preparing meals for children in this particular neighborhood, especially because some of our most vulnerable live just a hop and a skip away. And that's another reason why I was excited about this space, is because the kids are able to access it. If they don't have internet, they can bring their laptops, they can come here, connect to internet to do their homework. And like I said, now the government is providing free breakfast, free lunch, and I'm hoping to fill the gap and, have the community partner with me and provide free meals for them in the evening.
Very nice.
One of the things that we do here with the food bank, and this is done through First Assembly Church in Georgetown. So we're really just another location for them, but I have to really give credit to the church because this is really a project that they facilitate, and I am just really, again, being a bridge, getting the resources to the people in West Bay who don't have access to it. So every Thursday.
And this is good because sometimes people don't actually have the transportation
But that's it.
to get to some of the other distribution locations to be able to pick up. And, if you come for a bag or 2 or whatever, to then try to get a ride with groceries in hand is even more challenging. So this is fantastic.
Yeah, and so anybody who might be watching this, if they're in need, they can always come by the constituency office and sign up an application form through the food bank, and then we'll facilitate that for them. So what I was going to say is, the food bank also provides frozen goods.
Yes.
So what we do then is we assist the food bank with sorting out the chicken ahead of time. So we do that on Thursday evenings and have the bags ready for collection on Friday. So most people, there are some people who collect, and they collect on Friday, and otherwise not, then we deliver it. So I know I haven't really had an official opening of the constituency office. We really opened the doors the 1st of June, and I kept saying, it's a soft opening. I was going to do a big opening event, but truth be told, As a new politician that hadn't had a constituency office established, I pretty much hit the ground running, and it wasn't necessarily always running in the constituency, but often running in government admin building, just trying to get established. But we're there now, and now I'm going to be, starting to roll out the programs that are going to be coming from the constituency office.
Okay, Kathy, well, thank you so much. This is
Thank
really
you
nice.
too.
Again, folks, we were just doing a brief tour of West Bay Central's constituency office here with Kathy Ann Ebanks Wilks, and she is located here. Just give us the address again, just in case.
It's 37 Borel Street.
Borel Street, right
Yes.
here in Central West Bay.
Yes.
So she's still gonna, make this her own. She's just been trying to get the services out to the community that are most needed. But feel free to reach out to her constituency office. Let's have the email contact, Kathy,
Yeah.
for the constituency office, and maybe the phone number.
The email contact is Catherine, KATHERINE 4 FORWBC @gmail.com. And the constituency cell is 926-1717.
Okay,
So that's
wonderful.
how persons can access the office. And we are offering a multitude of services, from helping persons get their applications filled out to get registered to work. We're helping persons actually look for jobs, through the classifieds, or even on EK Trade, sometimes they have jobs listed. We're helping persons find apartments, those people who are struggling with finding locations, with NAU. And speaking of NAU, we're also trying to build a bridge in the constituency here as well, by helping persons fill out their application forms and just troubleshoot, so that when they do go to the needs assessment unit, it's a smooth transition for them.
All right, well, thank you again, Kathy.
Thank you too.
Sorry. All right, Kathy. So it gives people a little bit of an idea of what you have going on at the constituency office level. Your office is open daily. I know that you have an assistant there now that's, helping to man the phones, at least to have a presence there, so that people pop in and you're not there, they can still have a word with her. What have you seen as some of the greatest needs within the West Bay Central area?
I think, like I said when I was campaigning, and I'm seeing it more so now, is that COVID has really placed a spotlight on a lot of the social issues that we've really been facing for a very long time. So a lot of people might think that, some of these issues that we're seeing in West Bay are a result of the pandemic. But unfortunately, a lot of these concerns, mainly, some persons not having access to health care, not having access to food, some persons not even really having a place to stay. So those are really the major issues. Sadly, one of the issues that I've been seeing in the last, I'd say probably about 2 to 3 weeks, because I've been focusing on some of the young mothers, is that there's also not really access to childcare for young parents who are trying to, get back into the workforce. So that's also a challenge, is trying to figure out and find ways to assist persons who want to get who want to be employed, but may not necessarily have their child, in a daycare, because they just simply cannot afford it. So those are some of the issues that I see, very prevalent in West Bay, not just West Bay Central, but West Bay.
So I'm sure that your office is going to be a beacon of hope for a lot of individuals. Now, I know that you have mentioned that you have some things that you've already began offering, such as the food distribution through the food bank, which I think is fantastic. Now, the food bank does such a wonderful job around the island, but of course, one of the key things is for them to get distribution outlets, so to speak, within specific areas. So your office is basically operating as a hub for the food bank.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's every Friday. Do people need to do anything beforehand?
Yes, they actually need to come in and fill out an application form, because I don't really think there's a great deal of means testing that does take place, but they are, I guess, the churches, collecting data, or maybe they're, recording, for the purposes of, whatever, maybe it's to tell their donors where their money is going. I'm not quite sure, but they are, tracking where the food is going.
Okay. And so you've got a
ahead.
bag of groceries that people can collect, and they can also get some of the frozen chicken, which obviously they can then prepare. Yeah.
And that's just to, for persons who are in dire need, to offer immediate assistance. But then we also look at, why does that person need to sign up to the food bank, and how can, I assist them with, changing their position, so that, eventually they don't need that assistance and they can provide for themselves. Which kind of leads me, I know we don't have a lot of time, but I would really like to talk a little bit about what I plan to roll out, by the 1st of November. But I do want to say, I know that I've come, I can't even remember, Sandra, everything is a blur. I can't remember if I've actually formally come back on the show since the election. But I'm just
think you did
once, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so, once. But I'm just actually sitting here. I had to join the show this morning from the House of Parliament, because at 9 I'm going on to a Zoom call with the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. And it just having a surreal moment sitting here at a place where I've toured on field trips as a child. And, sometimes I still can't believe that, the people chose me to be their representative. And I just want to take a minute to thank all of those persons who chose me, whether it was a man or a woman. But I am very honored to be able to represent the women in our country. And I really want to be the type of leader that empowers all of our people, but in particular our women. And I really want to leave this position knowing that I have given another woman the courage to do just this, because it is really, these are trying times to be a leader. But I think around the world we see where, female leaders are being embraced. And it's nice to have a female's perspective, and I'm honored to be in a government that has the highest number of women ever to serve. What do you say? I would say consecutively. But it's a great feeling, and to be working with someone like the Honorable Juliana O'Connor Connolly, who has a wealth of knowledge, and I'm looking forward to learning a lot from her and working with my other colleagues. But yeah, let me get on to, before I continue rambling, I just wanted to say how happy I am to be given this opportunity. So going back to the social issues that we have in our country, one of the things that I wanted to do from the very outset was I wanted to give people an opportunity to give them a hand up instead of a handout. And there's been a lot of conversation around the world about the dignity gap, and the fact that, many persons feel, like they lack, that feeling of worth. And, many persons just want an opportunity to be able to go out there and provide something for themselves. And when we had the post-Grace cleanup, I just could not believe how quickly, some of my other colleagues were struggling to, and I'm not referring to West Bay, some of the other colleagues were struggling to find persons to come out and work. And we had guys on the ground before the all clear that were cutting up trees and clearing roads. And needless to say, I have had such a overwhelming number of persons that have been asking, can I help? I'd like to make a little dollar. So I've decided to form an NPO, and it's actually being incorporated right now. It's called the Cayman Dignity Project. And it's we're going to start off with a neighborhood cleanup program. And what that is going to look like is it's going to provide jobs for persons in West Bay, similar to what was taking place post-Grace. But it will be sustained, throughout my term. It'll be run every single Friday. That's how we're starting. We're starting small. Initially, the MPO is going to be funded from my personal salary. And that is also just for two reasons. One, to show people that I also want to make an investment with giving back to our community. I know that a lot of people are hurting right now. And, I know that a lot of persons didn't quite understand when we came to the finance committee a few weeks back. They thought that we had given ourselves raises, which we really didn't. But I understand the communication that was put forward did confuse persons. So I just want, especially the people in West Bay to know that I care about them and I'm willing to make an investment. Now, what I'm hoping is once this project gets going is that we will have persons in the community that are passionate about, seeing our community clean, seeing our persons, seeing our neighbors, our brothers, our sisters out there making an honest living. And they'll be willing to invest. And I'm hoping that, the private sector will join in. And then this can just be something that continues to grow through West Bay and eventually throughout the whole island. And one of the things that I've already started to map out for the project is, we have an issue with litter. And so every week we're going to have guys going out to clean up the streets. And we're going to partner with NRA. I'm sure that a lot of persons who participate in the cleanup programs will see that whenever the, what do you call it? The machine that goes around and cuts the sides of the shrubs on the street side.
Yes,
it tends to, the tree trimmer, it tends to catch a lot of the debris. And so then it shreds that debris and then it just looks very, it's not very appealing to the eye. And so it's just really to go ahead of them and ensure that the property is cleaned. And, I've been doing a lot of research about it. And, the act of engaging in a cleanup, it actually has a very positive impact, particularly in, low income neighborhoods, especially whose residents, really don't have a lot of hope, whether they are a participant of the cleanup program or they are just entering their neighborhood, which has recently been cleaned. It gives, individuals, that sense of refreshment and hope. And from there, then, we'll grow it. And, sorry, dropped my earphones. From the cleanup, then the next project that I want to roll out is the grow boxes. So as this continues to grow, I want to partner with persons in the community. Sandra, can you hear me? I think someone, okay. Someone messaged me about my earphones. I want to then start the neighborhood grow box program where we're going to have those persons that are in the Dignity Project going through the neighborhood and assisting persons with, creating grow boxes where they can grow their own produce. And that's something that I will partner with my colleague, the Minister of Agriculture, the J.E. Bank.
Wow, sounds like you got a lot going on there in West Bay Central. I'd be interested to see those grow box because, I've been talking about for a minute now, Kathy, how even during COVID here in our household, my husband decided to go back to his roots, so to speak, and start a little bit of backyard farming. And we have, oh gosh, I've lost count of how many grow boxes he has now. But we have a number of them. And, we're doing all sorts of things from tomatoes to cucumbers. The other day, we actually pulled a carrot out of one of the grow boxes. And believe it or not, I'd never given any thought to how carrots are actually grown. So when I was like, this is what a carrot looks like the top of it. And he was like, yeah, what did you think a carrot looked like? I had no idea. So I think it's such an educational process for children and adults alike to have grow boxes available in their neighborhoods or even right in their backyards. And it was a tiny little carrot, but it was still nice to be able to pull that right out of the ground, knowing that there were no preservatives or anything used on it, no chemicals, and wash it off and eat it right away. And the same thing with the tomatoes. My daughter, who doesn't actually like tomatoes, says the only tomatoes she wants to eat are daddy's tomatoes that come right out of the garden because they taste so good.
They taste different. They really do.
Yeah, they really do. So, Kathy, thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning. We know that you have a 9 o'clock appointment. Now, we're going to play another video for those of you who are unsure about the location of Kathy's office. We're going to play another video that shows you exactly where you can find her, coming from two different directions. But, Kathy, any final words before you leave to prepare for your meeting this morning?
Yeah, Sandra, I know that I caught a little bit of the show before I jumped on. I try to allocate a few minutes in the morning to just focus on my daughter while I'm dropping her to school. So after I dropped her, I was listening, and I know that the talk was, this whole thing with the vaccine, and I know that that's a can of worms to open, really. But I just want to challenge all the viewers this morning. I don't like some of the conversations that I'm seeing, a lot of hate, a lot of, segregation, vaccinated versus unvaccinated. At the end of the day, we are all one people. And, I think that we just need to remember to be inclusive of each other, considerate of each other. And, let's just remember that we are going to get through this together. And, I'm very happy to be working with a government that is taking a very measured approach in the way in which we open our borders. We're looking at, our utmost priority, which is our children and ensuring that they are safe. And so I just want to encourage everybody that's watching this morning to, just try to remember that, we were all one people before COVID, and we're all going to still have to continue to live in with each other. So let's try to remember that as we go through our daily basis and we're at work. And this I just don't like some of the conversations that I've been hearing from some of the, in particular, some of my constituents are sharing with me in the workforce. If you're vaccinated, be kind to others who are not. That's the only way that they're going to feel comfortable to get vaccinated, is if they feel that you are supportive of whatever their reservations might be. But the whole aggressive hatred, it's not going to help us move forward together. So I just wanted to say that, Sandra, thank you again for allowing me to be on the show. I just, the clerk of the parliament just popped her head in and told me that they're ready for the Zoom to start. So I'll leave you while you show your show the show. Thank you very much. Take care, Cayman, and I look forward to connecting with you all very soon.
All right. Thanks so much, Kathy. Have a good day. All right, so Ms. Catherine Wilks, representative for West Bay Central, is off to join a parliamentary meeting. Folks, let's go ahead and just show you where her office is located. So I know that some of you have no idea how to find her. So we have two clips that will demonstrate exactly where Kathy is. So as she said during her visit with us, you can actually get to her office through a couple different avenues. It kind of depends on where in West Bay you're actually at. So the first location that you can get to her is if you're going through Batabanu. So let's have a look at that one first. And then we'll do, if you're coming from like the four-way stop junction, which is kind of on the Mount Pleasant side. Is that Mount Pleasant? Yes. Okay, so here's the one from the Batabanu Road area. Yeah. All right, folks. So that is, again, if you're coming from Batabanu Road, let's have a look at the other location. Again, she's on Burrell, is it Burrell Drive? So right smack dab in the middle of West Bay Central. So this now is if you're coming from the four-way stop. All right, folks. So that's if you're coming from the four-way stop direction, which is West Church Street. You just turn first on Reverend Blackman Road. And we'll post these up on the social media pages just in case you want to take those directions down again. So Blissful Powell, thank you so much. Hero Blair says he's joining us from Orlando. Katrina says you did an awesome job. Zelda says thank you for your message to the community to stop the aggression and bullying regarding the injection. Well, I'm going to tell you what I think about that here in a second. And I'm going to go back to a comment that someone else made earlier. So listen, really and truly, people think just because this term bullying is so overused. Oh my God. It's like, what other word is overused in this day and age? There's another one that everybody uses on their resume now. And they think that, oh, because they use that word, they're going to get a job. Sometimes I just have to chuckle because people are telling you the cold, hard truth and the facts. That isn't bullying. Like, y'all need to understand what bullying really is. And I think that, in an attempt to address bullying, we have oversaturated the entire world with this bullying term. The United States government says you cannot enter a country as of November if you're not vaccinated. Is that bullying? No. That is a consequence of decisions that people are making. So just like the anti-vaxxers, somebody mentioned earlier, let me just pull this up because I think this was an important point to make about Dwayne. This was Nona. So Nona said earlier that, Sandy, what has happened to Dwayne Sterling? Quite interestingly enough, we've asked him this question ourselves, and we've had a lot of people asking us this very question. Why is a government radio station apparently the biggest voice for the anti-vaccination movement? Well, you guys are going to have to contact them and ask them that question. Let me just pull up this comment. I do want to read it in full. Nona said, give me 1 second here. Take this one off. Nona said, what has happened to Sterling Dwayne Ebanks? He is the one anti-vaxxer with the biggest megaphone, and it's a disgrace how he actively undermining the vaccine and influencing his fellow Caymanians to leave themselves vulnerable and unprotected against this killer virus. Well, what I would say about that, Nona, is yes, it is peculiar. And I've had a lot of people asking me, why is a government-run, government-sponsored with our money radio station allowing this to happen? On the one hand, freedom of speech. So the anti-vaxxers seem to have a bigger platform than anybody else. Are the anti-vaxxers bullying me with their ridiculousness and their fake news and misinformation? Ooh, if I wanted to overuse the word bullying, I would say that right now. Oh, I'm being bullied. No, I'm not being bullied by your stupidity and misinformation, because I can do my own research. I can look it up for myself. That doesn't bully me. That's not what bullying is. In the same way, when a vaccinated person says, I'm in support of the vaccine, they're just as passionate about their position as the anti-vaxxers. Notice how it's only the anti-vaxxers who are saying that they're the ones being bullied. You've never heard a vaccinated person who, shares their opinion and listens to the opinion of others, which is just an opinion, not factual. They're not saying that, oh, you're bullying me with misinformation. It's because the emotion that comes with the word bullying. Oh my God, when we hear that, we go into hyper mode. No, you can't bully people. This isn't bullying. I had this conversation with a friend of mine. So when she was saying, oh, she doesn't believe in vaccines and here's why, she actually said that she would rather die than take a vaccine. I thought, wow. I couldn't believe that she actually said that. And I said, okay, well, you may get your chance. But in the meantime, you're not going to expose people around me, including my child, with that type of thinking. She would rather die than to take the COVID vaccine. This is what we have undermining our vaccine efforts in this country. People who have no value for their own lives. They would rather die because of misinformation. If that doesn't shock anyone, right? And when she started saying different things, she's sending me all these fake videos that have circulated, and I already have seen them. So I said, oh, well, this video is misinformation fake because of da 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 da. All of a sudden, when I started presenting facts, I'm a bully. You're bullying me right now. I was like, what? We're having a discussion. She's putting forward her bits and pieces. Let me just, sorry. And, now I am bullying her because I'm giving her factual information. I'm confused by that. Woefully confused. So I don't understand. I don't even understand what that means. Right? What I'm bullying you because I'm saying that the information you're putting out there is completely wrong. Okay. Then when she continues to say, well, I'm going to continue to give you misinformation, I say, stop it. I said, just stop it. Just stop it a second. Let me comprehend what it is you're saying, right? If I share factual, scientific-based information with you on this because you don't like it and because you don't agree with it, that's bullying. But you expect that you can continue to share misinformation with me, sending me all this fake news, and I must just accept it and I'm not being a bully. And I said, hold on. If you are going to misuse and abuse the term bullying, which you just have to accuse me of bullying when I was sharing information, then I'm going to tell you the exact same thing. Don't share your misinformation with me because now you're bullying me with misinformation. I think in that moment, she understood how stupid she sounded. And I was just like, let's just end the conversation there. For the sake of protecting our friendship, because I like you otherwise, let's just end the conversation there. I don't want to be bullied by your misinformation. And clearly you don't want to be bullied by facts. That's it. A company sets a policy. And there are terms of employment for all of these companies, right? There are dress codes. So you can't show up. I mean, listen, I used to work Maples and Calder, and the people who'd show up looking like hookers, even the partners themselves would be sending out constant messages. Ladies, you no longer work in a bar in England. That's what they used to say. I lost count of the number of times poor Anthony Travers had to remind him, you're no longer in a pub in England. Dress appropriately when you come to work. He would send out the emails to everybody, right? There are terms of conditions on how you come to work, how you look, your conduct, your behavior, all these other things. And so if another term of condition to your employment is that either you be vaccinated or you be tested weekly, you have to wear masks, you have to do all these other things, how is that bullying? I don't understand. That's not bullying. Stop insulting people who have been victimized by bullying their lives with a overuse, misuse of the term bullying. Everything in life comes with conditions. You travel on a plane, you have to adhere to the conditions of traveling. Remember when in 9/11, after 9/11, all the security checkpoints that we've now gotten used to is second nature. They got to check you up the wazoo. They have to scan you where they can practically see under your clothes and see your nakedness, right? Unless you had a medical reason why you couldn't be scanned, everybody has to go through that. Now it's the norm. Isn't it funny how when those very invasive things started to happen to us in the name of security, I didn't hear any of you talking about, oh, they're bullying me into being scanned. They're bullying me into having to take off my shoes in the airport. That's one of the things that I despise about traveling, actually, because I'm like a germaphobe, is having to take my shoes off and walk on their floor. I actually walk with my little blue, the little blue disposable shoes that they use in hospitals. I have those in my travel backpack at all times. When I go through the Miami airport, I'm not going to put my foot, even with socks on your floor that looks like it's never been cleaned properly, and no telling what kind of microbes and germs is on that. So I just put on my little booty, walk through the thing, take it off and throw it in the garbage and put my shoes back on. I feel that I'm put off by that. But are they bullying me? No. Stop abusing the word bullying just because someone tells you something you don't like. That is the cold hard truth, folks. Right? So we got some clips from last night. Thank you so much, Kevin, for getting these loaded up for us, because again, these are really, really, really important messages. If you did not get to see the show last night, I would encourage you to go back, folks, and listen to it. It was really a fantastic show. These are frontline experts who are telling you how it is. Like it or not. They're saying this is what it is, folks. This is what we're having to deal with on the front line. Do I like to hear about people dying in ICUs around the world? You know, these videos with them crying on their last couple breaths about how they regret not listening to the medical science, how they regret not getting a vaccine. No. When I watch it, is that somebody's bullying me with this information? Come on, y'all. Anyway, thank you so much, Kathy. Blissful Powell is sending some positivity and prayers Kathy's way. Valerie says Kathy is passionate about her work and her community of West Bay. And I think that the West Bay residents made a good choice. And I tell you, it's certainly not, you know, an easy road for any MP, and especially the new MPs. They have a lot to learn. And trust me, they're going to have to pull up their bootstraps. And a lot of them they've gotten to work, they've hit the ground running. And I think it's also important. One of the reasons why we're having the Impact Wednesdays, it's the government's opportunity to come on this program and literally share with 300-400 of you live and thousands of you later exactly what they have been doing. Because I'm always surprised when people say, oh, they're not doing nothing. And I'm like, really? We have a segment that we are going to launch called A Day in the Life of. And some of that is going to be a day in the life of, you know, the premier of the country, a day in the life of Minister Saunders, a day in the life of Kenneth Bryan, a day in the life of Kathy Wilks, where we just tell them, go about your daily life and I'm just going to follow you around. I'm here for the ride. Forget I'm here. I'll sit in the back and you do you, you know, when you see the amount of phone calls, the amount of emails, the WhatsApp messages, just even trying to manage that alone, I'm telling you that so many of them are inundated with even just managing that part of it, because it's not easy. And this is where technology, to be honest, can really be your friend. You know, being able to have WhatsApp on a computer. Trust me, I get tons of messages, probably nowhere near as many as them, but I get tons of messages every day. I get people, can I tell you something? Not for nothing, but let me tell you about this. I have people in Jamaica, Afghanistan. I got one woman call me 4 times yesterday from Rotan, Honduras. People calling me from all over the world, most of them looking for jobs. And I'm like, listen, let me tell you the God's honest truth. Because then, again, I'm not trying to bully you with the truth, but I'm going to tell you the truth. We have people right here in the Cayman Islands who are looking for jobs, right? I'm probably not the best person to contact from overseas saying, oh, how do I get to the Cayman Islands? Can you just send me a letter to come? Because I'm like, well, first of all, that's not how it works. They're messaging me through Instagram. They're messaging me through Facebook. They're messaging me through WhatsApp. They want to come to the island of milk and honey is what they've heard. And they're all anxious to get here. This poor woman in Rotan asking for money. I'm like, we have so many people in need here. I'm trying to help my own people first. I don't have anything against you, but my obligation is to the Caymanians first and foremost, or the people right here in this country who need the help. So if I'm getting it even on a small scale, just because people see, oh, she has a social media platform, let's reach out to her. Total strangers, I'm telling you. Imagine what the MPs are having to deal with on a regular. So I'm glad that Kathy's office is open and that she is now, you know, working diligently towards setting up a number of different community programs. Jonathan says that they plan to build grow boxes for communities, they better buy and donate a few 100 miles of iguana protection screening, because there's still a problem. It only takes one to destroy your whole crop. Speaking of iguanas, Jonathan, I really hope that the government relaunches the iguana culling program, because when we were just the other day, in fact, when we were out in the garden pulling up this carrot that I was just telling you guys about, lo and behold, what do we see? But 2 baby iguanas. And you are right. They're coming back with a vengeance, because we've been so busy dealing with all of the COVID related stuff that, you know, they just are coming back. They're infants now, they're babies, so you're not seeing too many of the big ones, but trust me, they're still out there. What did we call, like 1 million iguanas? That program has to be an ongoing solution, right? Unfortunately, you can't call them into extinction, but you can control them by and large by the culling process. So please, to this government, anybody who's listening, that program has to continue, because yes, I did see 2 of them that same Saturday in my garden making their way around. I'm like, oh Lord Jesus, here we go. So yes, that's important, because what's the sense of growing tomatoes and all these other things if they're going to be lost to the iguana population? So thank you, Jonathan, for reminding us of that and for pointing that out. Miss Nona says, the only hatred I see in the whole vaccine debate is people actively spreading lies about the life-saving vaccine and dissuading others from protecting themselves against this deadly vaccine. Thank you, Nona. Alice, where did you go, girl? You missed a lot. After the show, you'll have to hit the rewind button. And here's the other thing, right? If I hated my friends and I hated the Caymanian people as a whole, I wouldn't even be bothered having this discussion with you. I would say, go ahead, die, whatever. I don't care. The reason why I stand up here, this is my personal reason anyway, every single day putting information out there, is because I do care. Right? There's no hate in this at all. I get frustrated, yes, by the misinformation. I don't understand it. I'm baffled by it. All those things, yes, those are realities of me being human and going, WTF. I don't get it, right? I don't get how you can have a life-saving option and not utilize it. Arm yourselves with information, accurate information. But if I really hated all these people, I'd be like, child, open the borders, make them get COVID, don't give them no vaccine. As a matter of fact, like some countries, let's hoard the vaccine for the select few, because I know that would have been a whole other argument. Antigua and Barbuda, their police force sent out a letter yesterday. Did you guys see this? We covered this on our website, where they sent out a letter to from the police commissioner saying, the government has mandated vaccines for their country. Good on them. Good, Antigua and Barbuda. Most countries will start to go in that direction. New York, they're going to start at the state level, at the federal level, and then it's going to be the entire country. It will be mandated, just like a lot of other vaccines around the world. So this was the letter that their police commissioner sent out. And contrary to what some people are trying to tell you in this jurisdiction, this letter, I'm sorry, it's not very large. You can't really see it all that well. But it actually says, the Ministry of Health has advised that unvaccinated employees in the workplace pose a risk to the health and safety of all employees. That's a fact. So their mandatory vaccination of government employees is now in place. And this is a force standing order number 1 of 2021. The first one of 2021. I guess it might be the only one. St. John, Antigua and Barbuda, West Indies. And this is Atlee P. Rodney, QPM, BSc, Commissioner of Police, says, pursuant to the provisions of the health regulations gazetted on the 17th of September, it is now a requirement for police officers to provide proof of approved vaccination against COVID-19 or an authorized exemption from the requirements. It is the government's responsibility to ensure the health and safety of persons employed or performing any duty in the workplace, and as such, it is their duty to take responsible care for the safety of all of its employees. Consequently, all police officers are required to submit to the Commissioner of Police through the Human Resources Department their original COVID-19 vaccination card. Police officers seeking an exemption from the requirement to be vaccinated must provide a medical certificate approved by the Chief Medical Officer or Medical Board, or an exemption on religious grounds. Effective October the 1st, that's Friday, all police officers who have not provided proof that they have been vaccinated for COVID or an exemption from vaccination in accordance with the regulations shall be considered to be on leave without pay. Boom, mic drop. That's what it is, folks. They're going to put you on leave without pay. You're not getting no paid leave in Antigua and Barbuda. And that's what it is. Many other places around the world, folks, will be taking the exact same position. In New York, it's now mandated. If you don't do it, you're going to lose your job. They will find somebody else who needs a job. Thank you, Nona. Well, you know, I don't need to thank you. I really appreciate it. She says that you'll go down in Cayman history as being the leading voice that helped to save numerous lives because of your courage. We need to clone you. This island owes you a debt of gratitude, giving you your roses now. I do appreciate that. But, you know, the beauty of what I do is that I don't need any praise. I don't need any recognition. I don't need any roses. I don't need anything except for people to think about the consequences of their actions and to really try their best to protect themselves and others. That for me is what I'm getting out of this, right? But I do appreciate you, Nona, and I appreciate that that acknowledgement. I hope that I'm saving lives. I hear people say yes because of, as Tanisha said yesterday, because other people talked to her, because Big J spoke to her, right? She changed her mind as a diabetic about getting vaccinated. And now here she is positive, but she's not in the hospital. She's not in the ICU. She's not on a ventilator. Jafana says, milk and honey, show me the way. I want the honey too. Child, we all looking for it. Thank you, Juanita, says our beautiful MP Catherine. Morning to you too, Sandy. If you missed Miss Kathy on the show, please go back and have a listen. Aliana says common sense isn't all that common. We can't all expect better because we all know not to drink and drive. But guess what? Read the instructions to use a product. But guess what? Et cetera, et cetera. I'm done with this. If one don't want to take a good information for the betterment of not just themselves, but others, okay, do you, Bobo? Well, the implications of doing you when it's a public health crisis is quite serious. Let's watch a couple highlights from the show last night.
People say, well, it was developed too quickly. And I combat that always by saying, but at the time that this created, we had all of the greatest minds in science and medicine all committed to one thing, and that was coming up with a solution to this pandemic. And so when you have the greatest minds all working together for one common goal, you're going to come out with something that's going to be, it did come out quickly. However, it was vetted. It went through multiple clinical trials with tens and hundreds of thousands of people. So we can't discredit the fact that, yes, it may have seemed like it happened in the blink of an eye, but literally it didn't. It didn't. When I was working in Massachusetts, I was a part of the remdesivir trial. It was an awesome experience, but like I said, it had the greatest minds in science that were all moving full steam ahead at coming towards a solution. But unfortunately, there is that medical mistrust that exists. And kind of also that was mentioned, I think that there are some political ties that kind of led to where we are, and that kind of has led to where people are not trusting the process, not trusting the science or the data, which is unfortunate. But as healthcare providers in whatever area we work in, I think it's very important that we help people understand the data. We understand it, but a layperson doesn't. So we have to explain to them how the vaccine works. How does it prevent those severe COVID symptoms, and how it works is to benefit our community as a whole. It's our responsibility as healthcare providers to educate our community and kind of help give them the comfort that they need sometimes to make the decision to get vaccinated.
And I got a question on that. Some people might not be used to remdesivir, so explain what remdesivir is. And Cosette, right after her, would you mind sharing, because you said that you got antibody treatment. I know it's kind of related, so go ahead and just kind of jump right on in. So go ahead, Asia.
Yeah, so remdesivir is an antiviral medication that we initially, early on, trial to see if it would reduce the duplication of the COVID virus in a patient's immune system. It was kind of like a hit or miss because as people know, you heard a lot of medications flowing around at the time. Remdesivir stuck. It's one of those medications that we saw early on, the data supported that it really, really reduced the viral load of COVID in patients. So people were getting better quicker. They weren't advancing into those more severe states of ARDS or acute respiratory distress syndrome. So once we saw the data supporting remdesivir, it quickly became a mainstay in COVID treatment in patients.
And Cosette, you got some experience with antibody treatment?
Yeah, my wife first got COVID, and a few days later, I was asymptomatic, but at her prompting, she said, "Hey, I just don't feel comfortable. I think you need to get tested." I went and got tested. I tested positive. As soon as we found out both of us were positive, we said, "Okay, let's go get the antibodies." I'd already talked to Dr. Shepke prior to that and gotten a lot of information about the antibody monoclonal antibody treatment. And as soon as we found our location, we went and got it. 2 shots each arm, in the back of each arm. No big deal. Probably we got it in the morning. Probably by that afternoon, my biggest complaint was I felt tired. So basically I slept for 2 days, had a little bit of a cold, headache, achy, but that was about it. So, I thank Dr. Shepke for all of his information that he has tried to put out there to the EMS community and the fire community and public safety community to convince all of us we need to take care of ourselves. But to be honest with you, it was a cold for me, and I slept for 2 days, which, as busy as I am, that was a good thing.
Got a question for you about when you are having those initial conversations with patients that are getting picked up by you and your team. Have you ever heard of anyone who just got vaccinated and they automatically have some sort of adverse reaction?
No, I haven't had any patients that called to say that they've been vaccinated and then that's the reason why they're calling is because they're having adverse effects from it. I personally have not had anything like that. Generally, it's the opposite. It's that they have COVID and they're not vaccinated and they're really sick. So.
And I see Asia shaking her head because, she's the one that's going to be ultimately receiving some of your patients. And so what's your thoughts on that?
I would have to agree. Sometimes they come in and when they come into the ED, the emergency department. The emergency department gets a synopsis of the patient's condition prior to arrival. The paramedics and firefighters could be going to the scene and saying, "Hey, patients requiring oxygen. This is what they look like. We're going to bring them in." But they could get a call 10 minutes en route and say, "Hey, patients respiratory-wise, they're tanking. We're going to intubate them now." So they're going to come in on a ventilator. It happens just that fast. You could be on the scene and the patient is somewhat respiratorily compromised, and while you're en route, they need full respiratory support, including the breathing tube and the ventilator. So sometimes by the time they get through those doors in the ED, we're now dealing with a completely different scenario, a completely different patient picture than we did when we EMS initially arrived on scene. So unfortunately, that is kind of how it can go with COVID and why vaccination again is so important.
And one of the questions I got for you, Asia, you're seeing those most critically ill patients, and there's a lot of people who are out there, obviously throughout the USA, and in Cayman, even though they have a good you heard the vaccination percentage, we have a much better percentage of people who are fully vaccinated, but there's still a ways to go. It's not where it needs to be. But tell me about the type of patients that you have in your ICU. Are they typically vaccinated or unvaccinated?
Currently in our ICUs, and just to kind of give you a perspective, I work in a large hospital in Tampa, Florida. We currently have, and I'm literally in my office across from 3 of the ICUs. Just in the ones across the hall, we have about 70 beds just on this side of the hospital alone. Out of those 70 beds right now, about 40 of those are COVID patients. If I think about the hospital as a whole on this side, it's about 40 patients. A large majority of them are unvaccinated. For the ones that tend to be vaccinated, the issues we see with them getting admitted to the ICU are more so those with other comorbidities like immunocompromised people who are on chemotherapy, those who are on like biologic medications for rheumatoid arthritis or lupus and things like that. But the large majority are patients of every age that you can think of. Unfortunately, just yesterday we had a 35-year-old pass away. I came in today and I was informed that we had 9 deaths today, and the evening isn't over, and that's just in the ICU. So unfortunately, this does take, especially with the Delta variant, it takes a large toll on those who in the past we didn't think would be affected as severely, but this Delta variant is slightly different. And to touch on that, I mean, a lot of people don't understand why this is different than anything else, but with any other microbe or bug or offending microbe, they mutate, so these viruses, they become better at replication, they become more efficient in protein binding. So as they evolve, it becomes easier for a person to become infected. The microbe can stay around in your body a little longer. It makes you sicker, and the Delta variant has done just that, and it has proven to be even more deadly than we could have expected when COVID first hit, which is why vaccination is so very important. So very important. It's the single most important thing we can do at this point to get this under control.
Wow, that's a lot of patients in the ICU. Jonathan says you say that they say Cayman is the land of milk and honey. Well, you know what, Jonathan? Everything is so incredibly relative. So to them, where they're coming from and the conditions under which they're living, yes, despite our struggles and what we think is, the worst situation ever, trust me, we're still doing really well, and we still are the island of milk and honey according to them. So yes, he said I would say it's a land of corned beef and crackers, but I guess who you fa? Even corned beef and crackers for some people is the island of milk and honey, because where they're coming from, it's difficult to even get that. We have poverty, folks. We have our issues. But relative to a lot of other people in the world, and even right here in the region, believe me when I tell you, we are the most fortunate people in the world. Even in the United States of America, there are pockets of poverty that would make Caymanians, the poorer Caymanians, look like they are living the best life ever. Isn't that interesting? It's all relative. Grace says they need to also put all these brilliant minds to come up with a cure for cancer. Well, here's the irony of that, Grace. The same mRNA technology that's in the Pfizer vaccine and the Moderna vaccine has been used for the past 10 years as a vaccine in a cancer vaccine. Let me rephrase that. The mRNA technology is being used in a cancer vaccine for the past 10 years. There are brilliant minds all over the world trying to come up with cures for everything. It doesn't happen overnight. The mRNA technology has not happened overnight either. It has been around for 50 years. This is why, my good people, it is important to get really accurate information. That it is important. That is how we will all be in a better position. Accurate information. Yeah. Now, doesn't that change things a little bit when you think about that? Right? When you understand that, oh, really? 50 years it took the mRNA technology to get this to this point? Yes, that's right. And so now that you're armed with that accurate information, Brilliant minds have been working at it for 50 years to get it to where it is. So, hopefully a cure for cancers will come. The difficulty of cancers is there's so many types of cancers. But hopefully there will be a vaccine, there will be cures, there will be better treatments. And there are. The technology with all of these things are improving. Thank God, because of medicine. The same medicine that we rely on for the vaccine. The same medical professionals that help other ICU patients, other people with other illnesses, immune compromising, heart attacks. The technology in all these different areas is being funded by people around the world, foundations and otherwise, because we are trying to cure people. We're trying to find disease prevention methods. These things are happening. They're not exclusively mutual. So in other words, just because we have a vaccine for COVID and you think it was just pull out of thin air, which it wasn't, that doesn't mean that they're not working in cancer treatments and all these other things. Yes, they are. But when you're in the middle of a pandemic that has cost over 4 million people in less than 2 years their lives, not even that many people have died from cancer, honey. So this is where it becomes critical to try to get this under control. If the coronavirus is permitted to continue to just take people out with no, boxing it in and no prevention, no mask wearing, no, all these things that can slow it down. Do you understand what kind of death toll we're talking about? The worst pandemic in the history of the United States of America was the Spanish flu, took over 675,000 lives. COVID-19 has now surpassed that. Just make that sink in. 18 months into this pandemic, it has become the worst pandemic in the history of the United States ever. This is serious. So I understand the comments that, oh yes, we're working on it. They're always working on that stuff. That's not going to change. But the need to address this immediate pandemic was necessary, I would have thought, for obvious reasons. Any of us who've lost a loved one to cancer, and trust me, I have. I know a lot of you guys have. You know that it's horrific and that you don't want to lose loved ones for that or for any reason, really, but everybody's got to die at some point. But yeah, those things are horrible. But absolutely. What we're talking about here is a very, very different situation. It required maybe even the pausing of some of those other things. Jonathan, I think the raffle is still on, as far as I know. He says, I hope they stop entering new names in the raffle pile. But don't you have up until October the 14th to get entered? Well, the good news is everybody's name gets entered in that $100,000 raffle, regardless of when you got vaccinated. Maybe that motivated some people to get vaccinated. I don't really know. Well, I tell you what, I could use $100,000 myself, Jonathan. What would you do with yours? Are you going to use that to build your G3 program? If I had $100,000, I'm going to tell you exactly what I would do with it. $75,000, no, $100,000. All right. Let me be honest. $75,000 is going to go straight on my mortgage, right on the principal. Boom. Bring that down. Because the quicker you can pay that off, trust me, all that interest is going to kill you. So that, and then I would put, I'm gonna take $10,000 and do whatever I want with it. This is what I would do. Okay. I would take $10,000 and whatever I want. I don't even know what I'd want to do. Can't travel right now. So probably not that. In normal circumstances, travel would be at the top of my list. Oh, I want to go somewhere that I've never been before and experience somebody else's country, somebody else's culture, their food, their life, everything. Now during COVID, well, that ain't going to happen. So What would I do? I don't know. I don't know what my fun thing would be. So I think you take a little bit of the money, $10,000 is good, and you have some fun with it. I would help some people in the community. So I would take some of the money outside of the $75,000. So maybe another, the remaining, I mean, you only got $25,000 left. $100,000 doesn't go as far as you think when you really think hard on it, but still, hello, it's 100 G's more than you had before. I would take some and help some people less fortunate. Would I help existing foundations or would I do something different? I don't know, but something definitely related to children, probably children of abuse. I think there's something specific that needs to be set up for them in terms of their care and counseling and that sort of thing. So that would definitely be at least $10,000 right there. And then what would I do with the other 5? Maybe do something for my daughter, like something, probably just put into the educational fund. And then I'll probably flip it. I'll probably take $10,000 and put in her educational fund, $5,000 for myself since I can't travel or anything, and do whatever I want with that. And that would be it. And then the next day I'd have to get up and keep working. So Junior, the raffle actually goes until the 14th. And we do have an interview, by the way. Let me see if I can find it. We should play that again about how the raffle, it's a DMS drive. Let me see if I can, vaccine drive. So it's a DMS vaccine drive. I'll find the video and I'll play it maybe on tomorrow's show. Yeah, so that we can remind ourselves of exactly all the details of the raffle and everything. Thanks, Jonathan, for reminding us about that. Jonathan will probably win it. Watch and see. Jonathan, if you win it, he says that he's going to get $50,000 in CUC stocks at 6% and do something wild with the rest. That's a lot of wilding out, Jonathan. 50 grand to wild out. No. If I were your financial advisor, I would say take 10,000 to wild out. Because we know what you're gonna be using that on your G3. So you're gonna be buying some extra weed. I'd buy a lot of weed. You're going to be, what was the other part of your G3 plan? Go-go dancers. I don't know how that'd work, but you probably can go to some bar here and somebody will dance on a pole for you. You don't need that much money for a go-go dancer. You give her $100 and you're good to go. She can dance for a couple hours. And then what was the other part of your G3 program? I can't even remember. Ganja, go-go dancers, and something else. But anyway, you don't need 50 grand to do that. Moya says, unfortunately, there's a big difference between diseases and viruses. So far, we have not been successful in creating medication to reverse the effects of a disease. Thank you, Moya, for this realistic approach. We, however, have been making strides in creating medication to prevent or boost our immune system to fight and serve viruses and some major health issues. Thank you, Moya, for pointing out what should be quite obvious to us, but there is a difference between an illness, a disease, and an actual virus and how they operate. And in fact, the tools, as you rightfully mentioned, that we have to work against them. So yes, I can confirm that the vaccine drive, I just sent this out, the vaccine drive is still scheduled as planned. Everyone who's fully vaccinated by HSA on or before the 14th is automatically entered to win. So if you've had your first vaccine and you're waiting to get your second, you have to go in and do that before the 14th. It says here, thank you to the people of Cayman Islands who, for the love of country, themselves and others, have chosen to be part of the solution. And they're going to do it live. Oh, yes, every Friday. I think we need to start bringing this into the show, now that I'm thinking about it. Every Friday, they're live with Blake and Aaron at 8:15 a.m. Doing a cash award to a lucky random winner who has referred a friend. So people are winning money other than the $100,000, by the way. So Louis says those girls are not that cheap. $100 for one song. What, girl? I mean, boy. No, that's not going to work. I tell you what you can do. Get your own pole and dance on it yourself. It's good exercise, I've been told. Pole dancing is apparently a thing for exercise, and you can entertain yourself. Jonathan, don't fool with the go-go dancers. That's not going to work. We can see other businesses have tried that here in Cayman, and it has failed miserably. Forget wasting your money on girls and go-go dancing and all that kind of stuff. Invest your money, buy more CUC stock, invest in renewable energies, do something else, set up a business, spend your money wisely. When you're just smoking it out and go dancing it out, that's a waste. Am I right or am I right? Yes, I think I'm right. All right, my beautiful people, look at the time already. Louis rolling his eyes about those girls. That's so funny. El Rey says that will never happen. What won't happen? Investing money wisely? What you mean? Thank you so much, guys, for tuning into the show. It is Wednesday, so don't forget now, tomorrow evening, we have another fantastic show lined up for you as part of our CMR COVID Spotlight series. If you enjoyed last night, every single show is getting better. I'm telling you, the guests are hot. Louis says, I've been investing in poles to stake up my plants that are heavy with flour. You go there. So Jonathan says it failed because they still got closed on. Well, it failed because it gets old real quick. Like, I don't know. I don't know. It just, the business model doesn't really work here. I mean, I don't know. Oh, El Rey, yes. I mean, people have tried versions of that, El Rey. You know what I'm talking about. And I mean, I don't even know what the excitement is to see somebody dancing in a pole. That if you could access that person for your own pleasure, you would be one of like 50 men. Really? That's prostitution. So yeah, Jonathan, find yourself a nice little girl. I don't know if you don't have a girlfriend or wife or whatever, but there's somebody out there for you. I'm sure of it. Somebody who was probably going to sit down and she'll participate in the other two G's. So it mightn't be G3, but she could do a G2 program with you. I'm kidding around with you, but I'm being serious at the same time. Yes. Anyway, my good folks, thank you guys so much for tuning into the program. We will certainly be keeping on top of the news for you in terms of anything breaking. I'm just having a look actually at my messages to see if anything has come in. Oh, Lord. Breaking news from the New York Times. The U.S. officials declared more than 20 extinctions amid a global environmental crisis. Millions more species are at risk, many within decades. Wow, I think we're going to be extinct here soon, too. So it's crazy. Yes. CUC sent out a message this morning, a press release. Let's see what they have to say. Speaking of CUC, regional utility rates. Okay, CUC. They said that they're competitive. CUC's rates compare with other utilities in the Caribbean. So they're telling you, we're not charging that much, not when it's compared to others. Okay, I hear you, the CUC. I hear you. Lord have mercy. Y'all are going to lose your minds. Hold up. Stop the presses. OMG. You think you're being, what's it called? Not molested. Bullied. Oh my God. Here's what I'm going to drop on you right now. Stop the presses. Stop the presses, folks. If you really think you're being bullied, now you're going to feel a way about it. Because guess what just came in? Hold on. What on earth? Boom. YouTube is banning all vaccine misinformation from its platform as part of an effort to reduce the spread of false claims about immunization. Mic drop. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. Thank you, YouTube. Because guess what? That's where a lot of you go to get all your misinformation. They're going to put a stop to it, finally. Because you know what? All these fake doctors, remember the one who tried to cure cancer with, he got disbarred. Not disbarred, what do they call it in the medical sense? Same thing, right? Physician trying to cure cancer with what's it called? Hydrogen peroxide. And he's now a COVID expert, and he had the most to say about coronavirus and how you're going to solve it without vaccines and blah, blah, blah. You know why his video was circulating? He wanted millions of you to watch it because they make money off of YouTube. The more views they get, the more money they get. So thank you, YouTube, for stepping up and saying, we're going to stop that gravy train of misinformation. Jonathan says, never underestimate the power of the G3 plan. You're such a joker, Jonathan. Louis says, I got 12 girls that I spend my day with. They're called plants. Oh, and you know what? The best thing about those 12 girls is they don't really talk back to you. So you go there, Louis. Thank you, Miss Wee Wee. She enjoyed the show today. Miss Darlene's having a laugh at Louis. Louis has a good sense of humor. Aliana says he needs a discount for go-go dancers. Behave yourselves. Howard says they take us for fools. Who? The go-go dancers? Probably. Shaking their little tush in front of you and be like, Papi, put your money right here. El Ray, yes, mic drop. Here, Darlene. Sandy, you're going to give me a heart attack. Y'all heard it here first. Guess what? Misinformation is going to stop. Facebook, man up. Start doing the same thing. Every single one of these fake posts need to come down. Oh, my God. You know what? You're harassing me because now I can't spread fake information. Let me do, I love, listen, I don't really like Nancy Pelosi. I don't know anything about her. But when she did that little silent clap, to me, that's like the best little move ever. It's so silent. You can't even hear it. Don't get too excited because we're clapping for you because it's just a silent clap. But, this is what needs to happen. The misinformation needs to stop. Yes, Moya says Facebook needs to follow suit. Amen. Louis says quarantine gardens are catching on. Yeah, we should do a garden. Listen, I want to talk to you guys about this in all seriousness, and I got to go. I've got tons of, the paperwork drives me crazy some days, but anyway, it's a necessary evil. When you run a business, you've got to do all the administrative stuff and the paperwork, and it's not just front-facing stuff, folks. There's a lot that happens behind the scenes, right? So there is a book. Oh, yes, hold on. I have it right here. Oh, Lord, my little book area is so tight. We still need to launch our book club. Oh, Lord, have mercy. I got so many things on my to-do list. First of all, I don't have a lot of physical books because I read a lot online and I do audio books and ebooks and whatever. But I got my hands on this book. Let me tell you guys a little bit about this. Look at this. Focus on Flora, Botanical Favorites of the Cayman Islands. This book is it. Full color. Look. Look at this. Gorgeous. How much do y'all know about sea grape? I am so excited. Frangipana. Look at this. Beautiful. There's so much in this book. And you know why you've never seen this book? Is because, believe it or not, it's actually a DART publication. And it was given to staff. There's only like 200 copies made. And I've gotten my hand, I think it's just on loan to me. But I saw it, I'm like, oh my God, can I see that book? I want to read it. So I got my hands on this book. Limited edition, only 200 of them out there. But it is an amazing little book about conservation, the planned management of natural resources, why you want to use native plants in your landscaping, in your gardening. Look at the periwinkle. Isn't this beautiful? Look. Gorgeous, right? It has so much stuff in here. So the sausage tree. I never even knew what this was called. Anyway, listen to me. Salt bush. Look here. I'm learning a lot going through this book. And I want to take you on this journey. So I know Louis is always talking about his plants and stuff like that. Now, I don't really have a green thumb, but I love plants for their beauty. And I know that they are so beneficial to the environment for keeping our air clean and so many other things that I'm so excited. And when I saw this, immediately I'm like, I have to share this knowledge and information with my people. So we're going to be doing an entire video series on flora and fauna in the Cayman Islands, native plants, and it's going to be based on this book. Now, I want to give a big shout out to Pilar Bush, because believe it or not, she's the executive director of the book. Girl, Pilar has a lot of talents that y'all don't know nothing about. But yes, an idea was born about the necessity. Pepper, cinnamon, look at this. I didn't even know anything about most of these names. I'm unfamiliar with. I mean, you see them, but you don't know what they're really called. So we're going to do an entire series. I don't even know how many videos it's going to be yet, but about native plants, why you want to plant them, you know, everything about them. The gardening club. Did you guys know? Now, I need to get a hold of this lady. I keep forgetting her name, but Dawn Seymour's mummy. Let's just call her Miss Seymour. She, Miss Eloise. I think it begins with an E. Anyway, let's just call her Miss Seymour because she founded the gardening club in the Cayman Islands. Now, she's very humble, so she probably don't even want to tell you all that. But she is well-versed in plants. And I need to sit down and go through her garden with her, talk about her plants, talk about her life story, because she's a very interesting person. You know, sometimes I get a glimpse at someone's personality just in a moment. Like I've always wanted to do a lot of what I'm doing in terms of like interviewing people. Part of it is I'm a very curious person. I'm curiosity at my core. Like I like to know what's going on. I like to have information, right? And then I also like to share that information with people and discover new things. I am just in awe of the world that we live in. And I want to share that with everybody. That's exciting to me. And I love talking to people that I find interesting. And most elderly Caymanians I find very, very interesting. They have so much to share. Oh my God, their life stories, a lot of sus. Some of them will give you the full tea. And I'm like, girl, honey, tell me, give it to me. Because they know a lot, honey child. Look at this Jamaican green tree. Look at this one. I mean, they're colorful, they're gorgeous. A lot of them are unique to the islands. They're unique to us. You know, sea lavender, the silver thatch, which of course, you know, that's our national tree. So yeah, so we're going to be doing a whole tree and planting segment. Thank you. Aliana says anti-vaxxers about to get clapped like Alex Jones. Woo, what a hot mess. Howard says they shouldn't censor any information. Oh, come on, Howard. Misinformation. So Al says no one has the power to force me to put anything. I'm pretty sure they've had the power. I want to bet, Al, that you've been vaccinated already. And how was that done? Miss Eloise, yes. I thought that was it. Miss Della says, yes, she is. Grew up with my daddy. You see what I'm telling you? Good morning. Thank you for joining the program. All right, I'm totally into overtime. That's it. No more to say for now. Join us on tomorrow's program. Big shout out and thanks to Catherine Wilks, who came on today. We appreciate her coming onto the program. And we will see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of The Cold Hard Truth. Make sure to check Facebook for showtimes and more information and the latest news at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Subscribe to our IG and Facebook pages to get the latest happenings.